Welcome everyone to another edition of our podcast. We're going live with Miss J and Mr. Stevie Street. How are you all doing this evening?
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening, Miss
Miss,
J. Good evening, Namdi.
yes, good evening, Miss. How have you been, Miss?
Laughing already.
Yeah, I'm not laughing. How you been?
Pretty
how,
good.
how have you guys been? Yes, I mean it's I, you've got some red in. I wonder if this signifies the album Blood on the Dance Floor, or was it
Of course.
okay dokie? Yes, it
The
was going
ruffles
with
for the
his.
girl in the video. Remember the ruffle dress? And then Michael had the leather pants on. Had to put the leather pants on like Michael,
Oh.
Wow.
represent the theme of things.
Hey, David Yarden, welcome. Okay, well, it is. Well, it's definitely, guys, seeing you guys. This evening we are reviewing and counting our top 10 from Michael Jackson's very strange remix album, Blood on the Dance Floor. It would be good to get our take on the album, and
What you
got,
say about there?
we got some fox and gloves on and everything. But yeah, it was a strange thing for the album. But I don't want to start off. It'd be good. I'll start off with you, Stevie. Then I'll get to Miss J because um, you know what were your thoughts on the fact that this came out in '97? You know, 2 years after History and in the
Was it
middle of
97 or was it 1996? I can't.
It was
97, you're right.
97.
'97. Yeah.
I didn't buy it at the time. For me, it's like a kind of forgotten, lost album, if you can call it an album. I do believe, from what I'm hearing, Michael wanted to release an EP, which makes sense
Right.
with the five tracks that are on it, and then you've got the record company who added a bunch of remixes. I think it just doesn't work for me as an album at all. I think it's got some good moments on it, not many. I don't. The remixes don't work for me. Like I say, it's got a couple of good moments. I think the tracks sound like they were pulled from, left off from other albums that didn't quite make other albums.
That's true.
It's just a bit of a mess for me as an album.
You
You can't say that about Michael Jackson. You can't. How dare you say that about Michael Jackson? That his album's a mess. And
Yeah,
I'm
you lucky.
it's got a boxing glove.
you can't.
Yeah. But what about you, Miss J? What did you think of it? I mean, and being honest, compared to all the other albums of Mike's that you've had, what did you think of
I'm
this?
ready to knock you out from across the pond. But I'll say this: Michael did want the 5 songs to be an EP. So I love what Michael did with his original songs. The remixes are not on him. He didn't want them. So I agree with that part. But I'm not going to call bad name here. To me, that was the record company. What Michael did was wonderful. What they did was questionable. So I stick to the 5 songs that Michael did, and I love them, and I will cherish them, and act like the other ones don't exist. Not because of Michael having anything bad.
Yeah, I think it was strange for me as a massive fan of Mike. You know, he had just done History, which I would give it. When we review that, we review that. I think there were some really good singles off that History album that should have been on this one. If he wanted to do a remake album from the History, you know, They Don't Care About Us. They had some real solid mixes on there. So I was surprised at the ones they picked in. And Teddy has gone on record to say when Michael says he wanted to reissue Blood on the Dance Floor, he says, well, we did this in 91. Let me remix it or something. He says, no, I just like it as it was. And actually, it just, as the first single, it was an okay track, but it just didn't have the oomph that was needed. This is 97. I mean, we were going from the golden age of 90s R&B into hip hop R&B, so you really did need some fire with that. And I just didn't understand some of the quality of it. And this is probably the year he should have released Invincible. I think Invincible should have come out in 97 because the sounds from Rodney were basically 97, 98. It should have just said, let's release Invincible and not even bother with these remix albums. It never works.
Where was Michael Jackson at this point? Because all I can remember about from 92, 93, 94, the mid 90s, was those allegations, that huge court case, which after that, it didn't seem to me that the general public were in the mood for Michael Jackson during that period. So we're getting to 97 now. Where are the general public? Are they ready for a Michael Jackson release?
I mean, I was in the States at that time, but Mr. J, you probably answer first before I go around. So think about History, because History came out after the first set of allegations were sort of cleared and dropped. So History came out then. So he was angry at the DA and everything. And then after this album, he had the second, he had the trial. When was the trial? Was the trial in 2000? Was it after Invincible or before?
There was a 93 one. It was 1993. That was the first.
Yeah, so that got settled and cleared, and he came out with History, with some of those They Don't Care About Us and Scream. Then I thought there was a second. I think there was a second one, which is when he did the Martin Bashir stuff.
2005.
The document. Oh, that was 2005 when he went to court.
Yes.
But when did he die?
2009.
Okay. So I don't know what happened in when he came out with Blood on the Dance Floor.
He had a baby.
97.
Prince Michael the First was born while he was doing the Blood on the Dance Floor video. The same week that he finished the video choreography, filming the video, his son was born. So that was him becoming a father for the first time in 97.
Okay. So there we have it. I mean, we don't want to. It was interesting, but I think he had.
What does this album do for the legacy of Michael Jackson? Because it doesn't, kind of tarnishes it. It just feels like a contract, a record company contract filler. This album.
In a way, it is. But it was one of the #1 remix albums of all time. Maybe because it's Michael Jackson, but as fans, we really love Ghost. You know, it did have songs that were basically outtakes from other, I guess, like albums. Because there's Dangerous. Blood on the Dance Floor was actually created in 1990. Some of the other songs were done in the 90s too for the Dangerous album, and some things were done for History, but didn't make the History album. And then the Ghost songs were for that movie, The Addams Family Values. So that was cut because of the allegations back then with Jordy Chandler in the early 90s, like 92, 93. And so that stuff is repackaged, and he actually had to refilm the video and do this for this album. That was supposed to be for the early 90s.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right about that. A lot of this stuff was like stuff that was put on hold from other albums.
But if you think of Someone Put Your Hand on Me, is it Someone Put Your Hand?
Someone Put Your Hand Out.
Someone Put Your Hand Out. Now, that could have been on this album and released if they were looking for stuff from the Dangerous album. You start thinking about some of the songs that even think of songs on the Ultimate Collection. Is it Monkey Business? He had so he had some good tracks on that Ultimate album that probably could have made this album and actually would have been better. So that's why if I hadn't heard the Ultimate album and seen some of those songs that just didn't make it, but that came out then, I would have thought, oh, this should have been on this Blood on the Dance Floor album. But anyway, we can go through and start thinking of going through our top 10. I don't mind starting and then Stevie. Then of course Miss J as the Michael expert will give you the sort of the rounding vote and the rounding number and explaining why you're really passionate about that. So if we're ready, and so guys, it's only David that's commenting, so I hope most of you guys will also join in and comment as we sort of go through our top 10 tracks of the day of the Blood and Dance Floor album. And I'm going to start off with number 10. And this was a tough one for me, trying to squeeze some of them in there. But Superfly Sister. I thought this one was probably attracted when I listened to it. I thought it would, if it was a Jackson. I wish that he did it with his brothers.
Oh.
There were elements of this that reminded me of maybe like the Jacksons, and I thought it would, if he had done Michael Jackson featuring the Jacksons, and he had Tito playing the electric guitar in there, it would have been like, okay, nice little throwback kind of stuff. So that was definitely a disappointment for me that he didn't feature them on there. But it was my 10th song on the album. Stevie,
you know what? I've not even compiled the top 10. It's the first album that I can't even give you 10 tracks. It's that bad. You know what I mean?
Oh wow!
I mean, I'm gonna have to do this on the spot. I know the 3 tracks that I would listen to, that I do, that I do like, and the rest of it. Where should we start then? So let's. Oh dear, we're gonna have to start.
I understand you. I get it.
We're gonna have to start with the remixes, and it's at number 10. I don't even listen to it, but for the sake of this podcast, let's put. Oh dear.
It's that hard, huh?
Let's put "You Are Not Alone."
Oh wow.
The classic club mix, which was remixed by 2 legends here, two absolute legends of house music, Frankie Knuckles and Dave Morales. If you listen to Frankie Knuckles' sound, even David, they've done better stuff in the past, far better dance stuff. I can understand why they got mixes to do. Sony just thought, you know what, give them 2 a lot of money, give them a dance mix to do for Michael Jackson. 7 minutes long, it builds up nicely. It's got their sound on it, but that song, just "You Are Not Alone," doesn't work as a club track for me.
That's true.
It doesn't start off well, but it kind of gets into the groove later on. But
it's Frankie Knuckles, so it has to be in the top 10. So that's that. I'll go with number 10. There you go.
I don't understand why they went with house mix on that song. I feel like R. Kelly would have done a better remix for them.
Well, he did do a remix, didn't he? He did do another mix.
He should have done one. I don't know. I don't remember his now, but it should have been on here because R. Kelly was good for remixes, especially in the 90s. I don't know why they went with whoever. I don't like house music, so for them to put that on my man's music.
So what's makes number 10 for you?
Too Bad. I chose Too Bad, the refugee mix. White Clef.
Wow. Okay.
For number 10. I gotta agree, it is hard to choose 10 because I really like 5. I love 5 of them. And the other ones are like filler that I don't know why the record label decided to go with those people who they chose to remix the songs, because to me, they said that the kids like remixes is what I remember reading. Too Bad, I guess I got, because The Refugees was one of the decent remixes out of the remix version of the songs on here. So I like how he put in Billie Jean into the
But you went to but you said, this is number 10, so you're saying that 9 tracks better than Too Bad.
Listen, Namdi, Wyclef Jean and Praz should have been nowhere near this album.
Okay.
Nowhere. What did LL Cool J say about Wyclef Jean? He's a Bob Marley imposter. That summed it up for me. Should have been nowhere near a Michael Jackson track.
Okay.
The only interesting thing about that remix is the sample they use by a British band called Cy Mandy. There's a good little funk sample going on in that mix, but I'd rather listen to the Cy Mandy original. So
okay.
And I wasn't saying that there's 9 tracks better. It's just that
even you're
after
struggling.
the 5 songs, I don't really care.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to give something there.
Okay. David was saying that it should have been a hip hop R&B mix
Yeah, I
album,
agree. I
which
agree.
would have then,
Yeah.
because if you think about, I bought the single for They Don't Care About Us, and they had Dave Hall, they had Trackmasters, and they had a number of different remixes which were really good. So I think if you had gone down that route, I think even when they did the Thriller 25, they had the Black Eyed Peas, they had Kanye West, they had different. Like, so I think they had Puffy doing one. I think Bad Boy did a track on that Bad Boy 25. That's a Bad Boy Thriller 25. Okay. Yeah. So we're sticking it off. So you had my number 9 is strange because I really like the original one, and the fact that he really got this guy to perform on it. So the remix without his vocals was a disappointment, but it was a nice produced by a remix by Dave Morales, and it's This Time Around.
Mhm.
It had the kind of almost like it could have been like the go-go type of beat. Um, it took me a while to get into it, but of the house remixes, it was one of the ones I could tolerate and stuff. So this time around, this time around, it wasn't too bad this time around, yeah. But as I said, I was waiting for the Biggie rap to come in, and I've
Right.
hearing what's it, Dallas Austin's talk about when Mike said he wanted to rap on it, and he says, he approached Biggie, and Biggie was like, "What?" And Mike loved the rap, and yeah, so the fact that he really wanted Biggie on there, so it would have been great to hear the vocals on that, but I understand why they removed it. This time around, number 9 for me, Stevie.
I'm trying to work out how I'm going to place these remixes before we get to the 10, 9, 8. It's either between what you just said or Stranger in Moscow, which was a Todd Terry remix. Again, Todd Terry, another legendary house remixer, especially in the late 80s, did some great stuff, Todd Terry, on the house scene. I just didn't. It's just there. It's just coming to the top 10, and that'll do for me. Number 9, Stranger in Moscow. Todd Terry, you're in. You're in to
Okay.
spend that money, spend them thousands of dollars that paid out of Michael Jackson at a Sony gave. He probably got paid like 7,500 grand for that remix.
Wow.
Went straight to the bank with it.
Miss J, what's number 9 for you?
I'm gonna put Money there, because money. I don't know what to say about it. Like, I'm with him on this. The remixes, I'm not really a fan of most of the style that they went with. So I'm just throwing anything on from 10 to 10 to 6. I'm gonna just put anything there because they're filler to me.
Yes, for someone who doesn't like house music, there are 13 songs in there, and the tracks they're not house, you put them
Okay.
9 and 10. So I do wonder which, and they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 house tracks. So I'm doing my maths, and I'm wondering how many of them are above Money and Too Bad. So, but anyway,
It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't even care where they go. I don't care.
Okay.
Like, I'm with Stevie on this one for the order. It doesn't really matter.
Okay. Well, my number 8 is You Are Not Alone. It started off a little. It didn't seem to start off right, and in some cases where he's taking it slow and they're still trying to make it up tempo, just didn't seem to fit. But I think it's just the lyrics that prevailed, and it picks up better towards the middle, towards the end. But it's because after number 8, after track 8, which is the Too Bad, as I said, the last 5 are all house mixes, and so if you're not into house, you can struggle. And so,
Right.
but You're Not Alone, I think maybe because I can remember the original version of it, and I can just then try and emotionally connect with it. But that's number 8 for me. Stevie.
The mix they should have included on this track was the Dallas Austin mix of This Time Around, but they didn't. They went for the David Morales mix. I'll go for that. What we on number 8?
Yeah, number 8.
That was a good song from the last the album before this.
Yeah,
I thought, there's a lot of mixes there. They were all right, the mixes. So best out of a bad bunch at number 8 for me. That this time around, Dave Morales,
okay.
good old Dave Morales.
Okay.
See,
Miss J, what's 8 for you?
again, I agree with Stevie on this one. I didn't think I would agree with him so much on this album, but This Time Around is my number 8. I liked what I do like about the song is that it starts off. I love Michael's sound effects, like the gasping and the. I love that. So I don't know. For some reason, when he makes those noises, it drives me crazy. So like I do, that is what I like about this song. So I'll put it on the list.
This time around, this time around, this time around, this time around, this time around. For number 7, I think this was almost 8 minutes, and I think it was a very unappreciated track. I think this track, when you not just the video was powerful, I think the lyrics were really strong, and I didn't really appreciate the track as much until I heard it sung at his funeral when Jennifer Hudson sang it with others, and I realized, wow, this was such a powerful track, and I think it shows you. This track really shows you the core of what this guy was about. The fact that he has this passion for kids, for disadvantage, but also environmentally as well. And Earth Song, I think they did a really good job with the remix of the Earth Song. It takes his time to build up, and then he sings, and it's I think it was probably one of the it's really, really good. So Earth Song, actually I probably should have switched this around. I should have, I've just looked at it and I think I should have swapped it around with my number 6, but I'll keep it at number 7, and that's Earth Song, which I think was just a who's this Hani? I don't know who Hani is. Do you know?
He did quite a few. He did some urban mix and some house mixes around that time, 96, 97, 98, and then I didn't hear from him after that. It's like you say, these remixes, they have a certain sound. The labels, suddenly they might have one mix that does something in a club, and they all jump on it, throw money at the remixer, get him to do several remixes this year, and then you never hear from him again. So I do remember his name, but he did do some interesting mixes, Haney.
But this album really was a European release kind of push. These kind of remixes are very much, let's get the European market. And I think he did well in France and Italy and places like that. So they kind of, it's just like when they did the Bobby Brown, there was the track that got to number 1 in the UK. Was it Two Can Play That Game?
Yeah.
The dance mix. We didn't hear it in the States at the time. So so what about you, Stevie? What is your number 7?
Number 7, I actually found this remix quite interesting. It'd work. Say like you go to a club early doors. Obviously, clubs get going around midnight, don't they? After 12:30, where everyone gets on the dance floor. But if you're in there earlier, about 10:30, you're getting your first drink. Somewhat like Money, the Fire Island mix, which has got an interesting beat to it. I don't think his vocal kind of fit, but as a mix, I think that would work as like a warm-up track, warm-up mix. Interesting. Nothing special, but it makes my... What number are we on?
No, 7. Is that Money?
7. Gets a lot easier from now on. 6 onwards, I can...
Right.
Yeah, I've done with the remixes now. Pretty happy about that. I've managed to get out of that conundrum. Very much.
Okay, so Money's number 7 for you. Miss J, what's number 7 for you?
I'm going to throw anything here because, like he said, they don't really matter to me. None of them really matter. So History, I'll put there. I love the original song History. To me, all of them sound like house. Besides Wyclef and Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, everything else to me sounds like the same type of mix to me. So I put History here just because I love the original song. And I had to put something here for 7 because
Yeah.
I really, all of them are the same to me.
When we do review the history album, I would say that was probably one of the most bizarre and tracks that I ever heard, and
Really?
they underutilized Boyz II Men. It was just,
I love that song.
it was just all over the place, and it could have been so much better. It was just anyway. So of course I just avoided the remix because it was like the original was so bad that the remix wasn't even going to make it any better.
Wow.
But number 6, I had to put this Jimmy and Terry track in. I think so. My story around History, the album, was that I was shocked that after the success of Dangerous, that Teddy didn't have a track on it. And so when I first get it, and I'm, as soon as it comes out, I buy it the very first day, and I'm going through the credits, and I'm like, there's no Teddy? And so I was very disappointed with that. And so I didn't warm to the album as much because I just didn't understand why they didn't come together. Now, subsequently, I've learned why they didn't work together. And that was really because Michael Spence, takes you away for 2-3 years on an album, records all these songs, only puts a handful out. So you get some payment, but at the time, after they, because when I interviewed Levi and interviewed all these guys, they worked hard on the Addams Family Value. They were doing a whole album, a whole soundtrack. So of course they had Ghost and Blackstreet were there. And Rodney Jerkins was there as well. So they were all there supporting, watching Michael record The Hit Factory. Then when the whole allegation stopped, the whole thing stopped down. So they had so many tracks that they recorded during that time. Teddy with Blackstreet singing, with all of them supporting. And then Teddy was like, we can't keep doing this, and he focused on doing Blackstreet. So it was either working with Michael and hoping to get songs on, or doing the Blackstreet stuff. And he went with Blackstreet, and we know the success they had going forward. So that said, Scream Louder, is that what they call it? Scream Louder?
Yes.
Scream Louder by with Janet. I mean, it's maybe the video was just good. Maybe getting the two of them on there. It was an angry song. It debuted at number 5 when it first released before getting to number 1. But it brings me memories when I listen to the remix version of it. And so that's number 6 for me. Dallas King Walks, what's up? Okay, Stevie, what's number 6 for you?
I'm in agreement with you at number 6. What I will say about this remix, though, it does use a very funky Sly and the Family Stone track. The Sly and Family Stone original is just an awesome funk track. I think Janet used it on her Rhythm Nation album. I think it's overproduced, this mix. I think it's just too much going on. But it's the best. It probably is out of all the mixes on here. And if you cast aside the Wyclef Jean, that's probably it's going to go to number 6.
Okay.
So yeah. Was I a fan of Scream? It was interesting to see Janet and Michael on the track at the same time. Wasn't a great song though. Wasn't a great song, but Michael had something to get off his chest in that. So fair play to him. Fair play.
Yeah.
But too much, too overproduced.
Yeah, it was just as I said, sometimes simple is best. But anyway, what about you, Miss J? What's number 6?
Are you talking about the remix or the original song?
Well, we'll wait. But we'll wait.
You can't say that about Michael Jackson. You can't.
We'll wait to the History album because that's.
You can't say that. I'm a devoted fan. Everything he does is just amazing. Everything. You can't say that. When we get to
the History album, there were actually really good. I mean, it's easy to pick 10 tracks from a History album. would I put Scream in there? Maybe not. If I'm doing, I think History has so many albums or songs, so it probably wouldn't make it into my top 10. But yes, but okay. What's
So where's number 6 for Miss J then? Number
I'm,
6,
I'm
Miss J.
going to agree with you and put that song there, you know, and that's Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis using "Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself Again." You know, I put it there for number 6. So we all agree on number 6 being "Scream Louder." But Michael Jackson said, "I don't care what you're talking about, baby." About y'all talking about his song "Scream" not being great. I don't care what you say. About that.
Okay.
I wonder if Miss J is going to cancel me tonight. I might get cancelled by Miss J.
I'm just drawing Michael Jackson lyrics. That's it. It'll be okay after that.
In my number 5, I'm surprised you guys put this a little bit lower. I actually thought this was a nice little funky groove. Remember Digital Planets? I'm cool like that. And I thought Money. The way he was just talking and vibing. I think if they had made it more jazzy, it would have actually been a lot. It would have been. It could have done even better. Just take a jazz vibe. Just to almost say, like, look at what Digital Planets did. Let's try and do something to that nature. But I thought it was actually a nice little chat as he was going through it, and actually the lyrics were really revealing about people trying to turn him down for money. And so I thought actually it was really, that's my number 5. And actually on the original History album, I actually would probably put it in my top 10 going through that, because there are 15 tracks on History Volume 2. So Money is my number 5 for me.
Like I say, it's interesting. It's an interesting mix, different. There is something about it. That's your number 5.
Money.
What's your number 10 again?
Number 10 was Superfly Sister.
Why? Why, Namdi? What's going on?
Yeah, I think when I listened to it, I think if he had his siblings on it, and I said if he had Tito playing the guitar, I felt it missed his brothers. But it just on its own, I listened to it and I don't really remember it as much. Yeah, and I didn't like it. It was so high up. It should have been like track 9 or 10. You started like that. Yeah.
You put all the remixes ahead of that.
Yeah, track. because I like the original versions, and so I can still connect to the lyrics and the original when I'm listening to it. But I like This Time Around and You're Not Alone and Earth Song. I actually think Earth Song I would have put higher than Scream if I had a chance to redo this list. I think Earth Song would have been number 6 for me. Yeah. What about you, Steve? What's number 5 for you?
I feel like I should be taking Miss J around Paris for a coffee and a bagel the way she's looking tonight. Very Paris, very French. Yeah, right. Number
5.
Number 5. Oh gosh, we're getting to the Michael wanted an EP out of these 5 tracks, so we'll get to them. Morphine.
What? Okay.
I struggle with this. It's a very production-wise, it's very harsh to listen to. It's quite rocky in places. The beat's very hard, and I know that he's referring to an addiction here, and I probably need a shot of morphine to listen to it again. It's not something I can go back. He's obviously he's going through a lot. You can tell in the lyrics, he's going through a hell of a lot, and he's trying to put that out in the song. And there'll be a lot of these dedicated, devoted fans out there, that's especially the ones that are probably addicted themselves, going through a harsh time. That they can probably relate to this song. It's too long for me.
Demerol.
It's not something I can listen.
He's taking Demerol.
Listen to again. It's number 5. It's number 5. It's not number. It's not number 10. It's actually at number. I think it's out the 5 songs that potentially could have been the EP. This was my least favorite.
Okay.
There you go.
Jay, what makes your number 5 for you? Because that's an interesting selection there for Steve. I didn't. That threw me.
Sir, you're throwing shade, baby. Michael said that in this song. Honey, you throwing shade. I love that song. You are out your mind. But okay, you got your opinion. I disagree.
Wow, we're getting a really revved up tonight now, dude.
Throwing shade, baby.
Shamo.
Number 5 for me is Blood on the Dance Floor.
Oh, okay.
What you talking about, Willis?
I think
What you
Morphine
talking
is a better
about?
song than Blood on the Dance Floor. And his engineer, mixer, Brad Buxom of 20 years says that is one of Michael's strongest songs is Morphine.
Okay.
That's my number 5, Blood on the Dance Floor.
Blood on the Dance Floor.
Number 5. I'm
It's
stunned.
a decent song. I do like it, but Teddy Riley compared it to Remember the Time, and he said there's elements of Remember the Time in it. And I had to go back to listen to Remember the Time to hear that, because I really don't hear it. But you know, the remix, the video version of Remember the Time, when they break it down, they start dancing. That I hear Blood on the Dance Floor elements in that part, the breakdown. But I do like Blood on the Dance Floor. It's my 5 of the top 5, because the other ones I just am in love with more.
Okay.
Wow.
Michael was sexy in Blood on the Dance Floor, though. He was sexy.
Chai Boy Shade says that Michael doesn't get the flowers he deserves as a male vocalist. I think because he was just so. I mean, if you think about him starting as the lead singer of Jackson 5, vocally, he was on another level. I think when you then think of his solo stuff, I think because he sold so many records, I think they just focused on him as a global entertainer and do forget about vocally how good he really is. Hence, I hate when they do this, the top 100 best singers ever, and they, put Beyonce in the top 5, and then Michael's like 25 or 30 or something like that, and I'm like, it's almost like he's the success of his albums overshadow vocally how he's been singing since he was 5 years old on record. And even when you just need to listen to his last album, Butterflies and some other tracks to really realize that actually this guy stayed consistent. It's like El DeBarge stays consistent over the years singing with his falsetto. So Charlie Wilson. So I think, yes, Michael gets overshadowed by his entertainment and stuff. But anyway, we're going to the top 5. We've done 5, and number 4 for me is a song that I think actually isn't too bad, and I think probably one of Michael started to do all these after the success of Thriller. I think he almost tried to recreate those songs. He had Threatened, which I didn't like. He had Ghost. Is It Scary? Is there any other one he did? Are those the only 3 he did? Those type of scary ones
that were released, yes.
Okay, so Is It Scary for You was a nice sort of production, nice track by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. I think they worked it well. I think I just didn't really. Why I put it at number 4 was just when I'm listening to it, I'm thinking, you've already done Thriller. Do you really need to keep saying this? Am I scared for you? Outside of that, if it's a beautiful production, I think this is probably one of the best tracks that Jimmy and Terry did with Michael, not overproducing and stuff. Got him at a high, with all the other stuff they did with him. So number 4 is It Scary for You?
I got something to say about what you just said, because, okay, I love. Yes, if Michael wants to make a scary song every album, Michael can make a scary song every album, because he is Mr. Halloween. Okay, he's Mariah Carey is Miss Christmas, and that woman come out with a new Christmas song and a new version of All I Want for Christmas Is You for the past 2 decades. She has been coming out with new versions of that song. So Michael can keep coming out with versions of Thriller, okay? Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Well, you know, it would have made sense. He could have done a Halloween special album.
Yeah, that would definitely be. I think Is It Scary for You is a really, I think I said it's if we think compare that to Scream, where it was overproduced and it's all over the place. I think if Is It Scary for You they really connected a lot better with Michael's vocals, and it was just a nice little balance. So I think that's why I put it up there, number 4.
Overproduced where?
No, that's
talk about the remix.
Things like when you compare it to Scream and stuff. I think this was the production wise of Jimmy and Terry with Michael, because I think prior to this he was chasing that Rhythm Nation sound. So he was like, "Come on, let's get it harder and rough." And I think they got to a point where let's just calm it down. Let's just play soft and stuff. And I think this was a good balance. So it's in number 4 for me. Stevie, what's number 4 for you?
Hold on a minute. 1 minute. I'm just. Where is it?
You about to get some out the archives. Let me see.
No, there's some guy commented about a long lost New Jack artist. Something came in the post this week. You can't read that. It says Zan CD single. So that's
DJ All Day. Okay.
Yes, Zan How To remix came in the post this week. Yeah, where is it? Anyway, let's get back to Michael Jackson. Right, I kind of agree with you on the placing of this track in the top 10, but I kind of disagree with a lot of what you said about this track, which is It Scary, which is my number 5. I think this could have been an amazing track if Jam and Lewis had got the production right, and they got it. There's bits of it I do like, the calming bits of it, and then suddenly it goes from like 0 to 100 in and it's just too. It's like a tsunami coming straight over you.
Wait a minute, repeat that.
It's like a tune. I'm talking about the production, not Michael Jack, about the production, Jay. It starts off all calm. It's like you're all nice and calm. You know, like you walk along the beach. It's all nice and calm, and you can imagine like suddenly a huge wave coming up out of nowhere and just like taking you away. That's what this song is like. It starts off calm.
You're describing my personality. I love it. You're describing me.
Yeah, and then it goes back up again and back down, and it's too much for me. It's too much.
Yeah.
It's over. That bit's just completely overproduced. And again, it's a song that, because of that reason, I probably won't go back and listen to again.
Okay. What song is it?
Is It Scary? But it's a number 5.
No, number 4.
No.
Yeah,
are we at number 4? No, we can't be at number 4. Seriously. Oh yeah, number 4. Sorry.
Number 4.
So, out of the 5 tracks, take away the remixes, there's 2 I didn't like and there's 3 I did. That's what I'm saying about this album having a few moments that I did like. Those Morphine and Is It Scary, I probably won't go back to listening to them, if I'm honest. Probably because the production's too much.
Okay. Miss J, what's number 4 for you?
Superfly Sister.
Okay. Wow, got that high.
Yeah, he was telling the truth in this song. Yes. But Susie likes to agitate, take a man and make him wait. Okay, I just want to know where did Susie come from, because he talked a lot about Susie got your number, Susie ain't your friend. Look who put you under. So she was on Blood on the Dance Floor. Susie's on Superfly Sister, and somebody killed little Susie on the History album.
Well, Annie didn't make it past Sweet Criminal, so he needed somebody else to. Okay. Who's on the? Is the same Susie on the Blood on the Dance Floor?
Susie, her name is on Blood on the Dance Floor. I don't know if it's the same Susie, but Susie likes to make him wait. Susie on the dance floor, stab him in the back. Yeah, Susie is everywhere.
I heard. I saw a clip from one of his former PAs, who says that Michael used to call girl groupies fishes.
Yes, fish, good fish.
Fish.
Yeah.
Look at it. Let's get some fish. And so I'm sure he ate a lot of fish and chips while he was on the road because he
Yeah, and I bet he stayed away from a few sharks, didn't
yeah.
he? Bet he stayed away from and them whales as well, them big ones. Big whales. Oh no,
Where's
not
Debbie
for me.
Rowe?
Yes. She may be watching, so I'm going to be kind to you, Debbie. This DJ All Day said this album is great if you're on morphine. it's Miss J, what did you have for your number 4?
Oh, I just said it. Superfly Sister. Wait.
Oh, Superfly Sister. Okay. So down to the top 3. And it was it's a strange one. I mean, I wouldn't say that I play this album too much, but this, I would say for my number 3, because it was Teddy was on this, and I think if it had come out in '91, I would have enjoyed it more. But it was Blood on the Dance Floor. I didn't like how he sang it on it. But I like the fact that he had so much faith in what Teddy did in '91 that he was prepared to keep it as is in '97. But I think one of the things I liked about the video is that actually he it wasn't a big budget video. It was just him just doing dancing with and not overdressing when his maroon outfit.
Mm-hmm.
So when I see it as a package, I think I would give Blood on the Dance Floor as a number 3 for me.
Okay, so about Blood on the Dance Floor, right? The video you're talking about had to be revised because Michael was late a lot to the rehearsal. So there was supposed to be like a whole choreography, that he didn't learn because he was always running away or being late because of the baby was coming any day now. So it would have been a different video if Debbie Rowe wasn't expecting the baby any day back then.
Okay. Inside scoop, guys. So it's the reason why the video was as it was. But I think for the song, not to go over budgets and get Hype Williams with helicopters, I think it served its purpose and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, Stevie, what's number 3 for you?
These last 3 now, these are the songs that I can listen to. I don't think any of them are outstanding song-wise. I think production-wise, they're very interesting. I do like the production on all 3. It just they lack a killer song. I mean, it was obviously a 90s version of Thriller, but not as good. The video was fantastic as a story to watch. I mean, it went a bit over the top where the skeleton does the moonwalk. I thought we could have done without that. But as a video, it was a great spectacle. You're just cheesing out a great dance move there with a skeleton doing the move. Why?
Wait
We need
a
to
minute.
do that. But it was kind of scary in places, that video. So number 3 is Ghosts. I like the production. I don't think the song's great. I don't think it doesn't. Number 3, I'll go with Go because it's a Teddy again. So it's the production's there. It does sound way too dated for '97 though. But Ghosts, I'll go for number
Okay.
3. But I've only recently discovered the track. Maybe I'll give it more of a listen.
Okay. You remember how you said the skeleton was on the moonwalk? That happened in the Torture video too. Do you remember the Torture video?
The which video?
Torture, the
which one?
Jacksons video. Torture.
I've not seen that video. I'll have to. What?
The
There's a skeleton
does
in
the
it doing a
moonwalk in that
moonwalk.
video too. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
I've not seen that. What in Torture in 19? What year was that? 82,
Victory album.
81.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Victory. 82 was that?
It was
82.
after 82, about 83.
No, it came out after Thriller, so it was
after
like
Thriller.
it came out after Thriller.
84,
Wow.
I think.
Yeah.
Michael wasn't in the video. They used the mannequin, but they had a skeleton do the moonwalk because Michael wasn't there. So the skeleton did the moonwalk in that video and in the one you just talked about.
Dear.
What's number 3 for you, Miss J?
Morphine is number 3 for me. I love that song. I used to exercise to the song. You talked about it in 6 minutes. It was perfect. I used to have that thing looped, and I would exercise on morphine on that song morphine.
Okay,
I
okay.
like how
Gotta calm down there. You exercise on more. I
I
mean, the
like how
song.
I like how what you guys don't like about it. I think I like about it. How you talked about the
Mhm.
ocean and everything. How you described it. That's in this song too. And in terms of like how he's calm at one point, and then and then dun, I love it. I absolutely love morphine. I
Okay.
love it. And it's a song that's personal. It's about his drug use. They even wanted to change. They actually did change the title in some regions of the world because they thought it should be called "Don't Do Drugs" or "Just Say No." It was called "Just Say No" in some places because they thought it was too disturbing for the masses. So, but I like it.
Have you ever been on a roller coaster, Miss J?
I hate roller coasters.
I hate roller coasters.
Yes.
I don't know.
I'm not
You kind of remind me of a roller coaster.
really.
Yeah, kind of. I can imagine walking around Paris with you, and it's up and it's down, and it's up and it's down, and it's. But anyway, Nandi, what we going on to next?
Yeah, and I'm just trying to check to see whether was Morphine on the no, was it on the first album? No, it wasn't. So it must have been an original track then.
Yeah.
Okay. My number 2. I'm surprised that Miss J and that both of you guys didn't really give this much of a say. I actually love this track. I like the fact that they had the sample of Beat It
Mhm.
flowing through. Um, I think I actually thought, wow, this was one of those songs that if he had released it as a single, like a comeback single, it felt like, and he wore army gear because it was when if you think about when the army are they're training and it says guess who's coming, do you have to, they kind of somebody calls out and they so just respond like a sergeant major. I thought the video for this would have been him in army training, and then Too Bad. I just loved how the whole Fuji blend thing was there. I loved how they just had Beat It on on the just going through, and I like how they just edited his voice. You ain't doing nothing to me. Yeah, yeah. I thought it was just they really did a great job. I'm surprised you guys didn't rate it, but I think of all the mixes, um, I'm trying to think. Was it in the no, it wasn't. So it wasn't. Yeah, I thought this was really definitely a great track. Um, and I didn't realize. Okay, so they had Jimmy and Terry do the original one. I can't remember how the original one sounds but I didn't enjoy it compared to the Foodies one. I think the Foodies one, the refugee camp mix was much better than the original, and I would have put this as a single, um, more so than Blood on the Dance Floor if I had the opportunity. I would have said, Michael, just put this as a single with a video. Yeah. So Too Bad is my number 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Shocking.
Too Bad, the original Too Bad had Shaq rapping on it, Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh yeah. Mike's bad too. Yeah, Shaq too. Yeah, you go. Yeah, but I think I prefer this one. Yeah, I think I think this is a remix that it was. I felt it was tight. It wasn't. Like when you think of, we just spoke about you're not alone. How it just felt like you just get this track and let's try and up and beat it up. I thought this one felt like they remixed it, like it just felt like this. If I hadn't heard the original track, I would have thought this was an original production. So that's how that's how much I really loved it. So that's my number 2. Okay, Steve, what's number 2 for you?
Number 2, a revelation for me. This track, because I just didn't. I barely listened to it at the time, but over the last few weeks, I've been listening to it quite a lot. And again, it's not a killer song, but I love the production. It's produced by a guy called Brian Loren, and I got to shout a guy who watches this channel a lot, a guy called Mike. He's not here tonight. I'm not seeing him, but I know he'll look. But he emailed me and he sent me a link for an interview with Brian Loren, who doesn't like to discuss working with Michael Jackson a lot. So an interview with discussing his work with Michael Jackson during the Dangerous period, because apparently he did a lot of work for him, a lot of tracks, and none of them got used. And obviously, if you're producing, your tracks don't get used, it's tough for him to talk about. Will have affected him. But here's one that did get used. This is Superfly Sister, and it has got Brian Lorenz sound all over it. Miss J, have you heard Brian Lorenz album?
No.
It came out in Japan only. And it has actually got Michael Jackson on it. I'll have to dig it out for you. Remind me, but because I think you'll like some elements of that album. But it's definitely got his sound on it. And I do rate Brian Lorenz as an artist and as a singer and as a songwriter. He's got his own sound. So Superfly Sisters, and it sounds like it could have been on the Bad album, this track, actually, not the Dangerous.
I think it could have been on the Victory. I felt to me that it would have been great if he had his brothers featuring the Jacksons, and they were singing alongside of him. It reminded me of something like that.
I do like this track, but again, it's not a killer song. But I do like production. Number 2, Superfly Sister, for me.
Miss J, what's number 2 for you?
Is it scary? Is it scary? I love the video, the short films.
Did they do a video for it?
Yeah, it was part of the whole Ghost. You know how it was like 3 songs that he performed for the short film. Is it scary? Was one of the original songs. So,
okay.
Yeah, Ghost and they're all combined.
Okay.
And the original title was "Is It Scary?" was for the short film that he did. That was like the original title. So yeah.
Yes. Okay. Jojo Man says the original Too Bad was better. Okay. So before I get to my number 1, I'll go through my top 10. So number 10 was Superfly Sister. Number 9 was This Time Around. Number 8 is You Are Not Alone. Number 7 is Earth Song. Number 6 is Scream. Number 5 is Money. Number 4 is It Scary for You? Number 3, Blood on the Dance Floor. Number 2 is Too Bad. And so number 1 for me, I mean, it's a track that we probably all just spoke about, and which, could have gone either way. And it was very strange how this song came out. And of course, people might think I'm talking about the Morphine, which I think is one of the worst songs on the album. So no, I am not talking about Morphine. I'm talking about a track that actually, from the first time I heard it, I sometimes listen to it, put on a loop. And actually, it's a track that I thought actually, I wish he had done this for the movie that it was intended to, and that's Ghost. I think this was almost like Teddy saying, just give me a chance to just do the production the way I would normally do it, and the drum beats on Ghost, and it's just and so it's actually vocally, Michael isn't screaming or even yelling. It just feels like he was contained in how he was singing and delivering it. It felt like, because as much as I love when Teddy did not Who Is It? The one that Michael raps in, Can't Let It Get Away. You could see Michael straining for that, or when he was singing Jam. But this time he was just got it. He got the pocket in this production. So I think, as Stevie said, you hadn't really listened to it too often. You can just listen to the vocals and how Michael sings in the pocket with that, or you can just enjoy the drum beats and the whole storytelling. So Ghost is definitely my number 1. Love the track, and I actually listened to it. The only track I do listen to it continuously, and it's on the playlist for me. So number 1 for me is Ghost.
Yes, mate. Yes, sir.
Wow.
I agree.
Yes. Yeah. So, Stevie, what's your top 10 before your number one?
If I can remember it, 10 was You Are Not Alone. After that, what was it? I think it was Stranger in. Oh, I can't even remember. Was it Stranger in Moscow? Tease, yeah. Number 9 was Stranger in Moscow. Number 8 was This Time Around. Number 7 was Money, the Fire Island mix. What me on that? Number 6 was Scream remix. Number 5 was Morphine. Number 4, Is It Scary? Number 3, Ghost. Number 2, Superfly System. And number 1 was the track that it's probably the one I know the most because I bought it as a single, produced by Teddy Riley. It actually sounds, the more I've been listening to it now, as a production, it sounds very close to the GR production. Sounds like an 89 coming into 1990 New Jack production with the organ and the. I think it's a very catchy. It's a very catchy song. He's singing in it. But like I say, just the one track from this album that I do know well. Obviously, that's the obvious track for me for number 1. Number 1 out of a very, very, very poor album.
Okay.
But it does sound like Namdi, listen to it, does sound like a GR production.
Yeah. I just think, but I think if we heard it in
1997, I'll never know.
Yeah, and I think that, and the fact that he didn't give him the opportunity to tidy it up and to, update it. But anyway, yeah, it's definitely, it's definitely.
I mean, what they could have done was repackage the Dangerous album with a bonus CD with some of the unreleased stuff off that, and that would have been fantastic on it.
Yeah,
that'd have made perfect sense to put that track on it, But it's ended up on this. At least we get to hear it. At least we got to hear those 5 tracks and make your mind up about it. I suppose if that's one good way of looking at it, because we may have not got to hear him. If especially if those allegations went against him and he'd had been put in prison, we wouldn't have got these. We wouldn't have got the 2 albums after the 2. He'd have been finished, wouldn't he? So got to be grateful for something, I guess.
Anyway, okay, so that's your top 10. Okay, Blood on the Dance Floor. Miss Jade, 10 to number 1.
I'll say what I read, but I do want to change one, but I won't. My 10 should not be 10. Because Black Clef did have one of the best remixes on this album.
What was you going to change? What did you want?
Too Bad would not be number 10. Too Bad would be more like 7 or 6. But I have it. It wouldn't be the first one I chose on the list. But yeah, because Too Bad is better than the Money remix this time around. It is, but it still wouldn't have made my top 5. So 10 is Too Bad, 9 is Money, 8 this time around, 7 History, 6 Scream, Louder, Blood on the Dance Floor is number 5, 4 Superfly Sister, 3 Morphine, 2 Is It Scary? Now the intro of this song, Is It Scary? It makes me think of 24 Play Janet Jackson. I'm not sure if anybody else is hearing that, but 2 Is It Scary? 1 Ghost. Ghost was amazing. The video to me was almost better than Thriller. To me, it included more elements that he always wanted to use, like the walking on the ceiling. He was fine as heck in Thriller, but I mean, it's right up there with Thriller. Ghost is great.
I think it's hard to say that. I think because Thriller itself was such
groundbreaking.
It was groundbreaking. It was.
It's iconic. It's iconic. The way it was shot, the film, even the way the camera film, the way it looks aesthetically. You can't touch it. You cannot touch that video.
Right there.
Well,
right there.
You're talking about the greatest pop music video of all time.
Because if you think about it, it was what was real and what wasn't real. Was he a werewolf or was it a dream? It was the way it just.
Plus, in Ghost, there's a load of CGI. I don't think there was CGI back in the early 80s.
No, so they used Baker. What's his name? Something Baker. I can't remember his name now. Who he uses a lot of prosthetics. So he, like in American Werewolf in London. So it wasn't they didn't really use CGI. It was all prosthetics and just make a special effects. It wasn't CGI, and so you can feel it more authentic, and it still stands the test of time. Everyone's replicating Thriller.
That's cool.
The whole you one person and everyone sort of dances behind. That's Thriller. So I think it's really hard to think about anything that can ever top that. I think Ghost was.
We'll get to that on the Thriller album, though, won't we? Because once we get to the when we get to the real meat and bones of a Michael Jackson album, when we get to that Thriller album,
Amazing album.
Then we'll get into it.
Yeah, no, yeah. But it, as I said, it was hard for me. I mean, I still, my Mount Rushmore was always Michael, Steven Spielberg, and Teddy. Those are my three. Anything they did, I had to get. I was really surprised about this album. It just didn't. It shocked me. It's kind of, if they'd released this album after he had passed, I would have said, oh, okay. But the fact that in '97, I mean, just think about what was coming out in black music in '97. To just throw this out there, I think it was really strange. But we tried as hard as we can to get an hour out of this album, which hasn't been easy.
Is there any track that we haven't talked about? I'm just thinking, is there anything we've not talked about? Is there any of the remixes we didn't mention that weren't in our top 10? I think we picked them all, didn't we, at some point?
I think, let me looking through it, I think we all picked something. You picked Space in Moscow. Yeah, we all picked. No, I didn't. Okay, and Jace picked.
And there was only 2 videos from this project: the Blood on the Dance Floor and Ghost. Yeah, was there any more videos?
No, those were the only ones. Okay. Yeah. No, so I mean, Marco's asking, are we going to do Off the Wall? Yeah, we're going to be doing that, but I think what we're not going to do. Well, I think the next one in a couple of weeks is the Control album, because we do want to. We do.
Oh,
yeah, Janet Jackson's Control album. Because we just don't want to oversaturate Michael. Because you think about Thriller and Off the.
Why was starting with Control when she had 2 albums before that? Or we're not going to go that deep?
No, but we.
Forgotten.
No, but the thing is, we'll mix them around. We've got time. We'll mix them around. And we're not, because we still have Ben, which is Michael's album. We've still got Victory album so we've still got a number of, we've still got a long way to go. So but it was good. Our next episode next week is we're going to be doing another album which people might consider very similar to Blood on the Dance Floor, and that's the One Love album by New Edition. That is a strange, it was it's a strange. It's going to be interesting when we talk about the One Love album and how it's whether they should have done it. Some of the things that how it was promoted, but that's next week. So we'll save our comments for that. But just as we wrap up tonight, though, guys, it's I think it sold only 2 million in the US, and that actually just happened within the last 5 years. So when it came out, it did better in Europe, went just gold in the US. So it meant that a lot of us who were there, only those who were really hardcore fans bought it up. And so it just felt as if a lot of us thought, this is just not what we expected. But when Michael fans will get it, it was a disappointment for me. I expected better, and but at least we've got it, and we had enough. We had fun just trying to do the best we could with that. Yes, Stevie. Any thoughts about this before?
I will go back to 2 tracks on this that I didn't give much time to when it came out, and that's Superfly Sister and Ghost. So I have got something out of this album. The rest of it probably won't. But them 2 tracks specifically, I actually played on my radio show yesterday. I did play Superfly Sister and I did play Blood on the Dance Floor. So I got something out of it. I did get something out of it.
Miss J, what about you?
I think the EP that Michael Jackson wanted to create would have been great. I like the 5 songs that the original 5 songs on this album. The rest of the stuff, don't blame it on Sunshine, don't blame it on Moonlight, don't blame it on Michael, blame it on that record label, not my honey. Okay.
Yeah, I think it would have been difficult to just put an EP out because no one was really doing EPs in at that time. And money wise, it's just hard to justify paying. To make a video and then trying to charge for an EP. I think they had to make it a 13-track stuff, but they could have put better songs.
Yeah.
They could have said, Michael, let's get stuff from stuff that I love Monkey Business. I think they could have thrown some of those tracks on there. But when we do the Ultimate Collection and we talk about some of those tracks that made that, we'll have our time on that.
And surely, was he not in the studio in 1996, a year before, making any tracks? Or was he?
He had so many tracks. I mean, think about the stuff that we hear on the Ultimate Collection, some of those demo versions. So he had the tracks they could have put in there. But, who knows?
Michael said he made like 100 songs every album, so he's had several to choose from. But it's based on what the record label wanted in the end. So,
yeah. Anyway, just to say, as we wrap up, the episode we did on the Toni Braxton album has pretty much far exceeded a lot of the most of the episodes that we've done over the last couple of months. Yes.
Really?
I'll
just check. What in terms of
over 1,600 people, twice as many who's listened to the Babyface. So it seems as if that was such a.
I'll be expecting my check in the post for that one.
But actually, more people watched that than they did the Invisible album or the Aaron Hall album, or Today, or New Edition.
Why do you think that is? Is it because it's Toni Braxton?
I like we said, to me, Toni doesn't get enough recognition. She doesn't get enough credit. She doesn't get enough flowers. Toni's a great artist, and I think she's underrated. She doesn't get the love that she deserves.
So we're going to schedule the Secrets album at some point then?
It might be. Yeah,
big album. That was a big album cover as well.
Like the album cover. You know what the album cover looks like? No.
Isn't it just the face? No, but I think but maybe before. I think it's just if you think of classic '90s albums, that was one of them. So I think it was not just. So I think if you're thinking about albums that came out around 91, 93, 92, 94, that were really big debut albums, I think that was something that made a difference. I think when we do What's the 411, I think that type of will be very interesting because it's going to be really hard to pick a top 10 from that because it definitely a lot of great tracks. So I think that really made a massive difference. It's just the album itself, as opposed to just Toni Braxton as well. But it's really interesting just to see those numbers. But guys, next week, join us as we count down our tracks from New Edition's One Love album. It's an album that I think didn't do very well when it was released. And I don't think people talk a lot about it. There's some good songs on it, definitely. And there's some songs that probably, they probably could have recorded differently. But it'd be interesting as we talk about that. And then don't forget, as I mentioned, we got Control album and Intro and Blackstreet all next month. So it's quite a
plenty to come. Plus a few interviews we've got in the pipeline as well that we're lining up for March. So. Yes,
and actually we may be looking at doing a Levert top 10, but we're getting our special guest Mark Gordon. So I think once they're, Misty, are they still on tour? The Levert Experience. Okay, so it may be stuff that it would be great getting Mark as we do a Levert top 10 and get his input as to what his top 10 as well. But anyway, Miss J, any final words from you before we close for the day?
I just say you can't say anything bad about Michael to me. I will fight for my man. His contribution was great on this album. That's all I have to say.
there's no denying Mike's the greatest. So, you know, I think if you're as a true fan, you can be critical in some things, and but and expect better and expect more. But you know, we still all have the album. In fact, I can't remember. Normally, when we're doing these things, I normally pick the albums out and
He's got his book of albums out now. His 30 albums are coming out.
yeah,
mate.
and I can't seem to find it. Yeah, I can't seem to find it. I only had the invisible one. But anyway, it's hey Derek. Anyway, thanks you guys, everyone. What's happening, Miss Jamie?
Someone said she wore a red beret, the kind you find in the secondhand store.
Okay. Okay. I didn't see that one. But anyway, I can't find my blood on the dance floor. Anyway, that's for me. Next week, New Edition, Control album coming soon, Blackstreet, Intro's debut album, and Levert, and a lot more. And yeah, the three of us will look and see which other 90s R&B gem that we're going to discuss, as well as the Tony Braxton one has really done really well. So from us, we'll see you guys next week, and thanks for support. All right.